I never imagined my life could change until I sang for a millionaire in disguise. I will never forget that night. The air was thick with the smell of mystery, like cinnamon mixed with dampness. My heart pounded as I stepped onto the stage, every spotlight drilling into my skin. I was just a girl struggling to make ends meet, but on that stage, I felt electric, alive. The crowd was a sea of faces, but one stood out tall, cloaked in shadows, with eyes that glimmered like dark jewels. He wasn't like the others. I could feel his gaze piercing through me, almost like he could see my soul. My voice trembled as I sang, pouring everything I had into every note. The bar was small, cramped, the cracked walls echoed my fears into the night. What did I have to lose? Everything, I thought. I had my family's dreams wrapped around my shoulders, heavy as lead. Mama was counting on me. She worked herself to the bone. I wanted to lift her burden. I could almost hear her encouraging whispers through the silence, the way she used to cheer me on during my bad days, how she'd smile through her pain. As I finished my last song, the room went still. I could hear my heartbeat thudding in my ears. Then he clapped. Just him at first. My breath caught as more joined him, hesitant applause spreading like a wildfire. That wasn't supposed to happen. I could barely believe it. Something about the way he looked at me twisted my insides. There was a dangerous spark, stealing my breath, but then, right before my eyes, he stood up. He was coming towards me, his expression unreadable. My hands trembled, and I could feel sweat trickling down my back. Was this a dream, or a nightmare? The crowd's whispers turned to a hum of excitement. What did he want? Where did you learn to sing like that? His voice was low and smooth, but it carried a weight. It wrapped around my mind, holding me captive. I stammered, my words tangled like vines. Just life, I guess. My cheeks flushed hot. His lips curved into a mysterious smile. I think there's more to you than you let on. My heart raced. Did he see through my facade? And just as I began to wonder about the secrets he held, the lights flickered, plunging the room into darkness. Gasps filled the air. I felt the weight of him beside me, his presence like a storm. The tension crackled, and then silence. What was about to happen? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The lights flickered back to life, illuminating a scene that felt suspended in time. The crowd, still buzzing, painted a picture of anticipation, their faces a blend of confusion and excitement. I could feel my heart racing against my ribcage, a captive bird desperate for flight. The man stood before me, his enigmatic smile fading into a focused gaze, and all I could do was wonder what lay beneath the surface of his intentions. Are you okay? He asked, the urgency in his voice breaking through the fog of uncertainty. I nodded, but it felt like a lie. How could I be okay when my entire world seemed flipped upside down? The bartender, still behind the bar, nervously wiped down the counter, his eyes darting to the stranger and then back to me, as though expecting a grand reveal. Then, in a move that shocked me, he reached out and gently touched my arm. The warmth radiating from his fingertips sparked something inside me, a flicker of hope mingled with an undercurrent of dread. You, he continued, have something that goes beyond mere talent. Have you ever considered that singing could take you somewhere greater? I swallowed hard, the weight of my circumstances crashing over me like a tidal wave. I just want to help my family. I can't just leave everything behind. My voice sounded small, lost amid the chatter that resumed around us. In that moment, I felt exposed, as if he could see through the layers of dreams I had carefully wrapped around myself, dreams that seemed increasingly unattainable. "Helping your family doesn't have to mean sacrificing your dreams," he replied, his eyes never wavering from mine. That spark in his gaze somehow stoked the flames of my ambition even as fear dug its claws into my heart. I longed to reach for something different, something more, yet reality loomed large and ominous. For the first time, I noticed how the crowd was drawn to us. Whispers floated through the air, punctuated by laughter and surprised gasps. I felt vulnerable, like I was standing on display. "Maybe I'm not meant for anything more than this," I said, my voice trembling. "This is my life." His expression softened, and I saw a flicker of understanding in his eyes. "You deserve to be seen for more than just your circumstances. Don't you realize how rare your voice is? Don't you want to be heard?" I opened my mouth to respond, but the words raggedly lodged in my throat like thorns. A sudden clatter from the bar caught our attention. The bartender dropped a glass, the sound shattering through my haze of vulnerability, and an eerie silence enveloped us again. Moments passed, stretching into something that felt eternal, until the kind woman seated nearby reached into her purse and produced a crumpled bill. She handed it to the bartender, who took it with a grateful nod, and then her soft, steady voice broke through. "Don't let fear define you. We all want to hear you sing again." That I blinked at her, my heart lifting an inch. Hope can thrive in the darkness, I realized, nurtured by unexpected kindness. With that small act, I felt a shift, a ripple of something fresh spreading out among the crowd. My breath caught. Perhaps this night held something more than I had bargained for. As the atmosphere slowly lightened, the man shifted closer to me. "What's your name?" he asked, an earnestness threading through his voice. "Lila," I managed, feeling somehow lighter, as if the burdens on my shoulders were easing, if only for a moment. "Lila," he repeated, savoring it as though it held importance. "You're meant to be more than just a girl singing in a bar. You can conquer so much more. Allow me to help." My instinct screamed for caution, but there, on that dimly lit stage, I felt as if I were on the edge of a precipice, teetering between decision and the fear of the unknown. Just as I opened my mouth to respond, the doors of the bar swung open, revealing a flood of cold air and a figure silhouetted against the light. My breath froze. "Maverick." The newcomer called, his voice filled with urgency. The man beside me, Maverick, tensed, turning to face the interruption. Instinct filled the air with electric tension. Who was this? My stomach sank. Something was about to change, and I wasn't sure if it was for better or worse. The stranger stepped forward, a storm brewing within his fierce gaze. "We need to talk. It can't wait." Maverick's eyes darted between him and me, his expression suddenly clouding with a mix of concern and something else, fear. I felt the ground shift beneath me once more, anxiety wrapping around my heart like chains. As the bar continued to bustle, in the eye of the emotional storm raging within me, I could see the shadows of both opportunity and danger looming ahead. The tension in the air thickened, wrapping around us like a suffocating blanket. I searched Maverick's face for a clue, an indication of what this interruption meant, but all I found was uncertainty, his blue eyes shadowing with unspoken worries. "Not now, John," Maverick said tersely, his voice low as if conspiring with the shadows. The tension dripped in the pauses between his words, and my heart raced, grappling with the realization that I was standing at the intersection of their conflict. "Not now?" John's voice pitched higher, disbelief hanging in the air. "You think we have time for delays? She's not safe here, Maverick." "Safe?" I whispered, the word slipping from my lips like a tentative prayer. The gravity of the situation pressed down harder. I stepped closer to Maverick, drawn into a vortex of confusion. "What do you mean? What's happening?" Maverick turned to me, the urgency flicking like a match against dry wood. "Lila, listen to me. I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" I met his gaze, searching for answers hidden within that depth, but all I felt was the thumping of my heart, the rhythmic echo of fear, which was odd, considering the unexpected warmth he inspired. You're asking me to trust you when everything feels upside down, he finished for me, his voice softening. But it's going to get worse if we don't get out of here. John is right, we're in danger, the word echoed like a warning bell in my mind. Danger? I repeated. A rush of adrenaline jolted through my veins, setting my instincts ablaze. I glanced over at John, who stood slightly apart, his arms crossed, waiting as though he were on borrowed time. Yes, John interjected, stepping closer as he noticed my growing panic. There are people looking for you, people who want to silence your voice. It's not just about singing anymore, Lila. They see you as a threat. Before I could comprehend what he meant, Maverick took a step forward, facing John squarely. If you know who they are, we have to warn her. His voice had taken on an urgent edge, and I felt my world tilt further as new worries crashed over me. I shook my head, desperately trying to grasp the reality of this situation. I don't understand. What have I done to be a threat to anyone? John's expression softened as he glanced back at me, the gravelly hardness melting into something more sympathetic. You possess something unique, Lila, the potential to change the game. It's a gift they wish to contain. We need to act fast, and you need to decide if you want to run or stay here. The noise around us grew distant, muffled by the pounding of my heart. I held on to words like lifelines, trying to extract clarity from this chaos. Running could mean leaving behind my family, but staying meant facing an unknown danger. Both the possibilities felt like a trap. Maverick maintained his grip on my gaze, determination etched across his features. I promise I'll keep you safe, but you have to trust me. We can figure this out together. Torn between my instincts and the gravity of the situation, I felt the emotional weight of the crowd pressing against me like a tidal wave. In that brief moment, a gentle spark ignited inside me, same hope from the woman who had encouraged me earlier. Perhaps in vulnerability, there was strength. What happens if we don't move? I asked quietly, channeling the courage I didn't know I had. Their reach will grow stronger, John replied, urgency framing every word. And they won't just target you. The people you love, your family, they will be at risk too. An icy surge shot through me as his implications sunk in. My family. Memories flickered in my mind, my mother's laughter filling our small kitchen, my brother's grin as he teased me by stealing my dessert. I couldn't let harm touch them. The choice felt monumental, a fork in the path toward an uncertain future. I'll trust you, I finally said, my voice barely above a whisper, but resolute. Show me what to do. In an instant, an array of emotions flickered in Maverick's eyes, a mix of relief and something that felt profoundly protective. Let's go, he said, turning on his heel. John fell into step beside him, and I found myself instinctively following, the gravity of their determination leading me forward. As we pushed through the crowd, whispers and laughter traveled around us, but they felt muted and distant, as if I were in some suspended dream. Just as we reached the exit, something inside me hesitated, an unsettling thought blooming in the corner of my mind. My family, would they ever understand why I had to leave? And then it struck me, the enormity of the moment. This was not just a decision about safety. It was about taking the very first steps toward a life I had always envisioned, albeit wrapped in a mantle of chaos and fear. But before I could articulate those thoughts, the door swung open, and a frigid gust of wind rushed in, tugging at my clothes like a desperate plea. There, illuminated in the doorway, stood another figure, one I didn't recognize. Lila, he called out, urgency lacing his tone. As ice gripped my heart, the dim lighting reflected off his face, and my breath hitched in recognition. It was a figure from my past, someone I thought I had lost forever. Are you ready for the truth? He asked, and with those words, I felt the ground churn beneath my feet once more. The cliffhanger awaited, and the path I had chosen was only just beginning to unveil itself. The stranger's voice clawed through the haze of my uncertainty, piercing straight to the core of my buried memories. Are you ready for the truth? His words seemed to hang in the air, heavy yet electric, propelling me backward into fragments of a forgotten past, a piece of me that I thought I had buried deep. Jack? I stammered, barely able to grasp the name as it stumbled from my lips. The sight of him sent a whirlwind of emotions boiling to the surface, both joy and betrayal mingling in a volatile mix. He was the boy who had once held my heart, the one who vanished from my life when we needed each other the most. Maverick shifted, protective energy radiating from him, his eyes darting between me and the newcomer. "Lila, we need to go," he urged, urgency filtering into his voice while concern poured from his gaze like a soothing salve to my frayed nerves. He couldn't possibly understand the significance of this moment, the monumental weight that Jack's appearance carried. "Not now, Lila," John interjected, his demeanor flickering with tension as he assessed Jack with suspicion. "This is all wrong. We don't have the luxury of distractions," but Jack stepped closer, every stride weaving threads of familiarity back into my heart. "I can help you," he continued, his voice frantic but sincere. "You have no idea what's at stake that I don't need your help, Jack," I managed to say, though my voice trembled as memories of old hopes flooded back. "You disappeared. You left me when I needed you the most." The accusation slipped through my lips raw and unguarded, revealing the depth of hurt I had tucked away for far too long. "Lila," he started, his eyes shining with an urgent glow, but before he could explain, John moved in front of me, blocking my view of him. "Listen to me," John insisted, his tone dangerously steady. "He's a part of this world, Lila. Do you really trust him, Maverick, please?" I pleaded, caught in the crossfire between my past and present. "He's not just a stranger. He was my first everything. I can't just forget him like that." Jack, sensing the tension, took a cautious step back, his hands clenched at his sides. "I didn't come here to hurt you, Lila. I came back because you need to know the truth about your family, about the people who are after you." A flicker of doubt crossed my mind as I processed this revelation, the fear of my loved ones intertwining with an insatiable thirst for answers. But with every heartbeat, I felt the tension mounting, the stakes climbing higher. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice small but grounded in determination. "The danger goes beyond just you. Your mother, she knows more than she's let on. You are tied to Thizio, been chosen for something significant, and there are forces ready to manipulate that." His words settled over me like a shroud, leaving me breathless and bewildered. Maverick grabbed my arm with a gentle urgency, grounding me in the moment. "We need to leave, Lila. Whatever he's saying, we can't afford to stay. This could be a trap." Yet, Jack's face glimmered with sincerity that tugged at my heart. "I swear, I'm not here to harm you. If you leave now, you might never uncover the truth." Torn between the safety Maverick offered and the painful curiosity clawing at my heart, my mind raced 1,000 miles a minute. But then I remembered my family's laughter, the warmth of their presence. What if Jack was right? What if there were secrets tangled within our lives, secrets that could put them in peril? The sounds of the crowd began pouring back into focus, an imaginary pulse of the outside world drawing me back to the present. A decision loomed before me, a chasm of uncertainty bridged only by the echoes of my past. "I can't just leave," I whispered, my voice wavering, looking to Maverick for guidance. "Lila, you're not just any person. You're at the center of something bigger, something your family has been protecting all along." "Please," Jack urged, desperation thickening the air. "You deserve to know the whole story." Before I could respond, the unmistakable sound of heavy footsteps approached, the unmistakable crack of authority surging into the room. Memorial flashes of panic flooded my chest when I turned toward the exit, my heart thudding against my ribcage like thunder. "We're surrounded," John shouted, urgency replacing hesitation as he positioned himself protectively in front of me and Maverick. In that moment, every ounce of clarity shattered. My past, wrapped tightly around me, was about to collide spectacularly with an unpredictable future. "Lila, choose." John's voice echoed through my mind, yet the choice was growing heavier, laden with consequences that felt insurmountable. And then I noticed a familiar glimmer in Jack's eyes, a spark of something both hopeful and haunting. "You need to trust me, Lila," he breathed, just as the door crashed open. An unexpected wave of fear darted through the air, and with it, the realization that the truth, whatever it was about to tear everything apart. My heart raced, caught on the precipice of an uncharted future where loyalties would be tested, fears faced, and the person I was meant to become waited just beyond the threshold. Now. Maverick's commanding shout jolted me back to reality, but my world unraveled further as Jack reached out, grasping my wrist with a fierce urgency as shapes of dark figures stepped into view. The cliffhanger gripped me with an unbearable tension, and I knew all that lay ahead would change everything I thought I understood about myself, my family, and what it really meant to fight for the life I secretly yearned for. The chaos exploded around us as the door burst open. Two figures stood silhouetted against the harsh light spilling into the room, their presence suffocating the air. My heart pounded against my ribcage, leaving me breathless with panic. Jack's grip on my wrist tightened, anchoring me momentarily as I fought against the instinct to flee. Lila. John's voice pierced through the haze, filled with an urgency that ignited my senses. I forced my gaze to him, searching for the safety I had always associated with his presence. But fear flashed across his features, fear that I would slip further into a danger that felt almost tangible with Jack by my side. Stay close. Maverick urged, his voice low but commanding, eyes scanning the room for a way out. I sensed his protective instinct surge, desperate to keep me safe, but my loyalties felt splintered. Every instinct told me to trust him, yet Jack's presence threw open doors I had long shut tight, doors I wanted to step through despite the risk. Lila, we don't have time. Jack's face was drawn tight with determination, and I could see the urgency swimming in his eyes, the remnants of the boy I once loved, now transformed by hidden knowledge and a purpose I couldn't yet grasp. Before I could think, the figures charged. John lunged at them, but they sidestepped, bearing down like shadows. The sound of my heart echoed in my ears as I instinctively pulled back from Jack, torn between the past and this chaotic present. What do you know, Jack? I shouted, desperation clawing at my throat while the figures moved deliberately toward us, confidence exuding from their every step. Your mother, she was part of something bigger, Lila, Jack pressed, his voice low. And it's your destiny now. But the urgency in his tone jarred against my heart. There was love, yes, but weighted within it was a profound sorrow woven into the corners of his words. He had returned not just for me but to fulfill a greater call, yet I feared it was one laced with doom. Suddenly, Maverick closed the gap, engaging one of the figures in a fight. The second figure lunged for me, and I felt the adrenaline spike as I barely dodged, bumping into Jack, who instinctively shielded me. We need to get out, he urged, and without another thought, I stepped into the unknown with him. John was locked in a struggle, fierce determination written across his face as he protected Maverick's flank. I could see the grit in his jaw, the loyalty that had kept him at my side. But the impending danger felt immense, a force beyond anything I had ever faced. As we made a desperate run toward the back exit, Jack murmured, "You have to trust me, Lila. I'm here to save you." His words were both a promise and a plea, resonating deep within me despite the onslaught of confusion. Beneath the layers of chaos, there was a flicker of hope, a promise of something significant if I could only take that leap of faith. Where do we go? I cried, adrenaline surging as I glanced back at John and Maverick fighting valiantly against the two enemies. I could see the strain in their movements, the threats holding them at bay, and dread swirled in my gut. They wouldn't abandon me, but could I truly leave them behind? The back exit loomed as Jack pulled me closer, his presence enveloping me in a desperate desire to protect. There's no time for doubt. His hand slipped into mine, warmth radiating between us, connecting the past and present in one vital moment. I could feel the energy pulse from him, a force igniting within me, urging me to follow him into the unknown. Lila. John's voice echoed through the room, filled with fervor and the raw vulnerability of shared experience. But trust was fragile now, shifting like sand beneath my feet. Go. Maverick shouted one last time, his body throwing itself forward as he pushed against the enemy, desperation painting his every movement. Jack and I sprinted through the doors just moments before the room erupted behind us, a cacophony of chaos that echoed against my heart. We fled into the dimly lit back alley, breathless and bewildered, the weight of my decision pressing heavily on my shoulders. Where to? I gasped, leaning against the cool brick wall, grounding myself in the rapid rise and fall of my chest, adrenaline coursing through my veins. I desperately looked into Jack's eyes, searching for something clarity, resolution, a semblance of the love I once knew, but instead, all I found was a shadow that loomed in his gaze. "I'll explain everything," he promised, his voice hoarse but unyielding. "But we have to move. It's not safe, not yet." Just then, there was a distant echo of distant sirens approaching, pulling me from the intensity of his gaze. Panic rose again, yet behind it flickered a spark of determination, urging me forward into his world of uncertainty, where every moment could tip us precariously into darkness. Then, as we turned to make our escape, Jack's expression shifted, his gaze narrowing on something behind me. Lila, the urgency in his tone was like a sudden chill racing down my spine, and when I turned, dread washed over me. In the distance, through the shadowed alleyway, I spotted another figure emerging from the darkness. It was another face I knew all too well, a silhouette emerging, a familiar stranger whose return possessed the power to unravel everything I thought I understood about loyalty, truth, and the complicated tapestry of love that intertwined us all. And in that moment, I realized, trust was not just a risk, it was a gamble. The stakes were far greater than I could have ever imagined, waiting to be laid bare as the heart-wrenching truth flickered just beyond my reach. The shadows of the alley loomed over us, shrouding the figure in a hazy veil of uncertainty. I squinted against the dimness, the echoing sounds of sirens fading into the background as if the world outside had shifted completely out of focus. A beat of silence stretched between me and the oncoming silhouette, my breath hitching in anticipation. "Lila, stay behind me," Jack whispered, moving instinctively to shield me from whatever was approaching. In that split second, the ties that bound us, love, fear, history tangled tighter, leaving me caught between the man I once adored and the unfamiliar threat that now materialized from the shadows. As the figure stepped into the dim light, recognition washed over me, the familiar features etched with lines of worry and urgency. "Dad?" The word slipped from my lips, a breath laced with disbelief and confusion. It was truly him. The man who had vanished from my life, leaving only memories and unanswered questions in his wake. "Lila." He called out, voice raw with emotion, eyes wide with a desperate kind of relief. "You have to come with me. They're looking for you." Panic tinged his every word, and for a moment, I faltered, caught between two worlds, one where Jack represented a chaotic present and the other leaning toward a fragmented past I thought I had put behind me. "Looking for me?" I challenged, incredulity mounting with every syllable. "Who's looking for me? And why now, Lila?" "No time for questions." He stepped forward, urgency fueling his trembling voice. "They want you because of your mother. It's bigger than we imagined." His gaze darted over my shoulder, fear sweeping across his features. "We don't have much time, stop." Jack interjected, his body tense and ready. "What does he mean, Lila?" The edge in his voice was unmistakable, barbed with suspicion toward my father, his stance becoming more defensive. I was torn, my heart thrumming wildly as memories collided. Why had my father returned now, after years of silence? My mother's secrets loomed like shadows, and I could feel the walls of my reality crumbling, revealing fissures that had long been filled with denial. "Lila, you need to trust me. Please, just listen." Dad pressed, his voice thick with emotion. There was a desperation in his plea that forced me to reconsider, to wrestle with an intensity one had never anticipated. Yet, how could I trust him after everything? I don't know if I can," I stammered, anguish tearing through me as my emotions threatened to spill over. "You left me." I felt the weight of betrayal, anger bubbling beneath the surface, consuming me. "I did what I thought was best." His brow furrowed in pain. "I thought I was protecting you from the truth, protecting you from this." He gestured to the chaos that had followed him, and instinctively, Jack stepped closer to me, the warmth of his presence igniting a flicker of courage. "This chaos is what you left me to face alone." I burst out, emotions spilling over. The air crackled with tension, the past flooding back, muddying the waters of my present. But beneath my anger, I felt something else, a yearning. How I longed for answers, for resolution that had been denied me for far too long. Jack's eyes flickered between us, his protective instinct conflicting with an unspoken need to understand the tumultuous dynamics at play. "Lila, we need to move," Maverick's voice cut through the moment like a knife, reminding us of the urgency pressing upon our shoulders. "They won't wait for us to sort through family drama." I hesitated, fear and indecision warring within me. Then the sound of footsteps echoed behind us, and I forced myself to make a decision. "If we're going to figure this out," I said, facing both men, "we have to do it together for better or worse." My father's face softened, a flicker of gratitude illuminating his features as though my words had cut through a veil that had separated us for too long. Jack, however, was a different story. His steely gaze bore into my father, suspicious yet undeniably intrigued. As we made our way down the alley, my heart raced. The shadows closed in, the weight of my choices heavy on my chest. I felt like a marionette, strings pulled taut in every direction, desperate to find some semblance of control in this tangled mess. We reached a crossroads. One path led deeper into the unknown, while another wound back toward familiar territory. The sounds of the city behind us grew louder, the reality of our situation a constant reminder of the danger at our heels. "Lila," Dad urged, his voice trembling, "we need to join forces. They're all coming for you, everyone from your mother's past." The urgency in his tone made my skin crawl, and the implications of his words sent a chill down my spine. "What do you mean, everyone?" I asked, fear growing at the thought of more familiar faces turning into threats. "What did she get mixed up in?" "It's bigger than you can imagine," he replied, desperation thickening the air. "Her legacy, our legacy's not in the past, it's alive, and it's dangerous." Just then, the echo of approaching footsteps broke through our conversation. "We can't stay here," Jack snapped, his grip tightening around my wrist, igniting that flicker of hope I had felt earlier. But it was soon swallowed by the certainty of impending chaos. But as we turned to flee, I felt a profound weight settle in my gut, a premonition that this was just the beginning. I didn't just have to reckon with the dangerous forces threatening my life, I had to confront the truth of who I was, the true legacy of my family and what it meant for all of us. With a heavy heart, I spun toward my father and Jack. "Let's go," I said, determination stealing my voice. I didn't know what awaited us in the dark, intertwined fates, but I felt the daunting weight of it pushing me forward. The connection to my past burned like a lighthouse through the fog, leading me into a storm I was not yet ready to face, but I had no choice. It was time to uncover the truth. And amidst the chaos, one realization echoed in my heart: loyalty now had countless shades of gray, and I was standing on the precipice of it all. The cold air wrapped around us like a thick blanket as we sprinted deeper into the maze of alleys, the distant sound of footsteps growing ever closer. Jack's hand remained tightly clasped around mine, his grip a lifeline that grounded me amid the swirling storm of grief, anger, and confusion that battled inside my heart. Every corner we turned seemed to lead us further into the unknown, the shadows stretching ominously as if trying to grasp us, to pull us back into the darkness. "What if they find us?" I panted, glancing over my shoulder. My father's wasted form, once so strong and unyielding, now appeared fragile, as if the years spent in the echo of his own shadows had strained him too close to breaking. "Well, find a safe place," he assured me, though the tremor in his voice didn't inspire the confidence I desperately craved. "I promise I won't let them take you again." Something shifted in the air then. Beneath the fear, a flicker of hope ignited within me, perhaps stemming from the sheer determination in his words or perhaps from the tenuous bond we were forging anew. Yet as quick as that warmth bloomed, it was extinguished by the gnawing anxiety gnawing at my insides. Could I truly trust him? The echoing steps became louder, a chilling reminder that time was slipping away. We darted around a corner just as a shadowy figure came into view, a stark reminder of the very danger my father had fiercely tried to protect me from. Jack quickly pushed me behind a steep brick wall, his body shielding me, and the moment felt surreal, the protector becoming a barrier between my past and present. "Stay quiet," he whispered, his breath heavy with urgency and concern. My heart raced as I peered from behind him. The alley seemed to fold in on itself, twisting under the weight of my dread. The figure moved closer until I recognized the folds of a long coat, one I had seen many times before. Is that? Just stay still, Jack murmured, his body tense, epitomizing the calm before the storm that I strained my ears, certain I could hear the figure Thorn muttering to himself, conspiratorial whispers that sent chills racing down my spine. I thought of the stories my mother used to tell, cautionary tales intertwined with magical fantasy, yet they paled in comparison to the deadly reality unspooling before us. Suddenly, Thorn's voice rose through the dim air, infused with a sinister glee. The girl is but a pawn, a mere reflection of her mother's ambitions. It sent ice through my veins, a flicker of understanding igniting alongside the fury. What does he mean by that? I whispered violently into the darkness, my anger propelling me closer to the man I had long written off as a villain. Just wait, Jack breathed, looking around frantically, searching for an escape route. We can't confront him, but my blood boiled with the unbearable impulse to fight back, to reclaim the narrative and take charge of my own story. He doesn't get to talk about my mother like that, I hissed, the fire of betrayal surging within me. However, before I could make a move, a shift in the air caught my attention. An unexpected shove from behind thrust me into Jack, our bodies colliding against the wall. Lila. He spat, concern flaring in his eyes before an unseen force echoed in our direction. Come out, wherever you are, Thorn sang, sickly sweet yet dripping with poison. My heart raced, panic creeping along my veins. If the thread of our reality could snap at any moment, there was no telling how many innocent lives might become collateral damage. Suddenly, Jack's grip tightened, pulling me back further into the shadows as we crouched low, hardly daring to breathe. Stay quiet, more footsteps echoed, splintering the air like crackling energy, and then, unthinkably, a cold laughter reverberated down the alley combined with the unmistakable sound of a gun cocking. You can run, but you can't hide forever, girl. I gasped, my chest tightening as I felt the weight of despair close around my throat. What do they want from me? I whimpered, feeling small against the towering uncertainty that clouded everything I had thought to know. Stay close, Jack murmured again, his voice trembling with a worry I could not ignore. Then something miraculous happened. A light ignited at the end of our dark tunnel as a woman approached, her silhouette radiating coffee shop warmth, a kind smile illuminating her otherwise shadowy figure. This way, she urged, and instinctively, I reached for Jack's hand. Is it safe? He questioned, eyes narrowing with skepticism. But the twinkle in her eyes radiated hope and warmth. Yes, trust me, she urged, beckoning us forward. As we navigated the dark alley and the grasping shadows, a swirling mix of hope bloomed in my chest. Could I finally escape this treacherous game? We slipped into her sanctuary, the little café at the end of the alley that somehow still hummed with life, and as she closed the door behind us, my heart quivered with a new sense of safety mixed with wild uncertainty. Who are you? I asked, my voice a quiet tremor, struggling to understand who this woman was and what she could possibly know. Call me June, she said softly, her expression brightening with curiosity. And I know about your best-kept secrets, Lila. Your legacy is alive and waiting for you. The emotional weight of her words crashed over me like angry waves, dragging me into a whirlpool of thoughts. What do you mean? I whispered, breathless. The warmth of the cafe faded, and reality snapped into sharp focus. The thrill of hope now mingled with trepidation as I prepared to unpack the very core of what lay beneath the chaos, the secrets that would redefine everything I thought I knew. Just then, the cafe door rattled violently, a stark reminder of how precarious our sanctuary was, sending shards of panic racing through my veins once more. They're coming, Jack whispered, fear dancing in his eyes. Be ready, June added with urgency, as if she had been expecting the storm. My heart thundered madly, a visceral beat of dread mixed with awakening as I braced myself to confront the truth. My family ties had woven a net that would either save me or trap me forever, and the reality was more dangerous than I had ever imagined. The door shuddered again as the force of something heavy collided with it, reverberating through the cafe and shaking the ground beneath my feet. My heart raced, each thud echoing like a countdown to disaster. What do we do? I whispered to Jack, who clenched my hand tighter, his jaw set in grim determination. "June, do you have an exit?" Jack asked, his voice strained and sharp, flickers of the boy who had always sought to protect shining through the fear-tinged chaos. June's expression transformed, determination flooding her features as she scanned the room. "Follow me," she directed, moving swiftly behind the counter toward a narrow door leading to a back hallway, shadowy and filled with uncertainty that I felt a swell of gratitude mixed with dread. There was hope and danger in choosing to trust her, a stranger who knew too much about me and my family's secrets. But before I could question it further, we were swept into the hallway, the weight of both our innocence and vulnerability heavy on our shoulders. The corridor was claustrophobic, the dim light flickering above as if protesting the palpable tension. "Keep close," Jack murmured softly, his voice barely above a whisper, and I automatically stepped into the space beside him. The world outside was a menacing enigma, but here in this narrow escape, there was solace in our proximity, our shared fears melding into something more, a growing connection built on the shifting sands of uncertain safety. As we navigated through the dim passage, June halted abruptly, her brow furrowed in thought. "I need to tell you something," she said, urgency flaring in her tone, taking on a dangerous edge. "What is it?" I asked, dread pooling in the pit of my stomach. "Your mother was involved in something dark, something that more than just Thorn is after," she said carefully, her eyes gleaming with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. "This isn't just about you. This legacy she left has implications that reach far beyond what you understand." The words wedged themselves into the cracks of my psyche, slicing through the fragile armor I had built around my grief and confusion. "What do you mean? What exactly did she do?" My head spun, trying to grasp the implications. June lingered for a moment, re-evaluating her own next words. "Your mother was part of a secret network, guardians of what was thought to be lost, a power that Thorn will stop at nothing to possess." A splinter of realization struck through me. "You're saying I have a role in all of this?" I was desperate for the clarity she offered, but the weight of it almost crushed me where I stood. "Yes. Your voice carries the legacy. When you sing, something within you awakens," she answered, her gaze earnest. "He wants that power, Lila. He wants to control you, to use you to fulfill his own ambitions, a puppet dancing on the strings of your mother's legacy." A pulse of betrayal ignited within me. My mother, once a figure of comfort and strength, now felt like a ghost laced with shadows. But why didn't she tell me? Why would she let me be blind to this? "I don't know, but you must be ready. Thorn won't stop until he finds you. You may be the key to unlock or destroy what she left behind," June urged, her focus unbroken. Before I could process this monumental revelation, the door creaked, and the sound of footsteps echoed closer, a reminder that danger was drawing nearer with each moment. "We have to move, now," Jack insisted, stepping toward the next passage with undeniable urgency, his eyes pleading for strength. June led us through a back exit, stepping out into the cool night air as the sounds of the bustling world enveloped us like a comforting embrace. But hope quickly slipped back into dread as I realized we were still exposed, still vulnerable. The darkened alley stretched before us, an expanse that felt hollow and endless. We moved quietly, my heart collapsing under the weight of our reality, that I was now hunted not just for who I was but for what I represented. As we pressed on, branches from a nearby tree rattled ominously above, whispering cautions that felt too close to home. And it was then I heard a distant melody, a haunting refrain that echoed down the alley, each note twisting with anguish and nostalgia. It was a melody my mother had once sung, one that had woven its way into my dreams. "I know that song," I murmured, caught in its haunting pull. The very essence of it intertwined with the sudden fear settling deep in my bones. "Stay focused, Lila," Jack snapped, snapping me back to the urgency of our escape. The melody lost its hold, but the chill it left lingered, an echo of home now tainted with something darker. Ahead, we spotted a break in the darkness, a light spilling from a nearby street, flickering uncertainly like a lighthouse guiding our escape. "We should only cross when it's clear," June whispered, her eyes darting around as if sensing a storm brewing in the distance. Just as we prepared to move, the alley to our right exploded with a group of shadowed figures emerging under the streetlight. They seemed too familiar, a vestige of my past. I could see, even in the dim light, the hard edges of betrayal drawn across their faces, and just like that, "We've been found," Jack breathed, the reality of our peril sinking in, weighing heavily on all of us. My pulse quickened, and panic surged at the thoughts of running once again, unsure if there was any escape left, but just as I prepared to turn back, my eyes caught on one figure stepping forward from the darkness, a face that was all too recognizable, a mix of longing and dread unfurling within me. "Lila." The voice rang out, infused with an urgency that shattered my very core. I couldn't find the strength to move, the tangled web of emotions locking me in place. "You have to remember, you are not alone." The words hung in the air, both a warning and an invitation as the familiar yet enigmatic face advanced toward me. Confusion and hope tangled within me, dripping with the bittersweet promise of answers that could finally illuminate the journey ahead but threatened to shatter the fragile peace I had forged with Jack. As the figures closed in, everything became painfully clear. This was no longer about hiding. This was a confrontation with legacy, with love, and with the fierce, lingering memories of a mother I was still learning to understand. I could only hope that the path forward would offer redemption or, even better, a chance to reclaim my voice before it was silenced once more. The streetlight flickered as I stood rooted to the spot, the weight of recognition crashing over me in waves. It was Nathan, my childhood friend turned stranger, a boy I had once trusted implicitly. The facade of bravado he wore crumbled the moment our eyes locked, exposing the raw vulnerability hidden beneath. "Nathan?" My voice was barely a whisper, tangled with disbelief. So many unsaid words and shared laughter rushed back with a force that threatened to break down the walls I'd erected around my heart. Memories of vibrant summers spent in his company, secrets whispered by the lake, danced before my mind's eye, battling against the storm brewing just behind me. "Lila. You need to listen to me." He took a tentative step closer, urgency painting his features. "It's not safe here. You don't understand the danger. You need to come with us. I echoed, glancing past him to the others who had emerged from the shadows. "Lila," Jack's voice snapped through the confusion, pulling me back to our reality. "We can't trust them. He's involved with Thorn." "I know it." "Shut up, Jack." Nathan shot back, his voice low yet fierce. "I'm not here to hurt her. I'm trying to save her." His gaze flickered between me and Jack, pleading, desperate for me to see beyond the tension that crackled like electricity in the air. "Save me? From what? From who?" I felt the anger rising, a sharp edge against the backdrop of my racing heart. How could Nathan stand there with a warning when he had left without even saying goodbye? "The people Thorn has sent. The ones who will stop at nothing to get to Lila. They're after the legacy of her mother, something powerful and dangerous." Nathan's voice trembled as if the burden of truth were too heavy to bear on his own. Jack squeezed my hand, grounding me, his resolve undeterred. "We have to go. It's too risky to stand here. They could be watching. No. We need to listen." I felt the steel of determination harden inside me, igniting against the fear gnawing at my gut. I deserved to know the truth. The mix of confusion hung between us, thick and suffocating like a fog, yet within it, I felt a flicker of hope. "Nathan, what do you know?" My voice implored him to share, to unfold the truth like an old, worn letter waiting to be read. He took a deep breath, the tension palpable as he stepped closer, the others behind him watching with rapt attention. "When I saw Thorn with your mother, I knew something was wrong. I tried to reach out, but it was too late. She was involved in things the world couldn't begin to understand. And you're the culmination of that legacy. Together, we can fight back." His words tumbled out, heavy with the weight of consequence. "What do you mean, fight back? I don't even know what's at stake. You don't even know me anymore." "I never stopped knowing you, Lila." Nathan's voice cracked, pushing through my anger with sincerity. "I've searched for you since you vanished after everything went down. You weren't just lost to me, you were lost to yourself. You have to reclaim what was stolen from you." A silence fell over us, the bustling sounds of the city fading like echoes of a memory. In those moments, I felt more than just anger. I felt a piercing vulnerability that unfurled like a delicate flower promised to bloom amidst the chaos. June stepped forward, her expression softening for just a moment. "Lila, this is bigger than all of us. You think Thorn is only watching? He knows you're close, and he's not far behind. We have to form an alliance. Trust must be our foundation." That I glanced between Jack and Nathan, the ghosts of our past intertwining with the uncertain future laid before us. Each held part of me, a sliver of history that carved through the fog of threats and danger looming just out of sight. "You can't trust him," Jack argued softly yet firmly, his grip tightening. "He was part of everything that went wrong. Or maybe he's here to protect you," Nathan countered, his frustration bubbling to the surface, yet his eyes spoke volumes. A flicker of sorrow intertwined with an unyielding hope. In that moment, the darkness pressed in around us. I felt the weight of my choices, a defining moment at the crossroads of fear and trust. My heart unfurled like a hesitant bird in the dim light, ready to take flight but unsure of the path ahead. Suddenly, a sharp sound echoed from the alley. Footsteps, hurried and chaotic. A chill snaked down my spine, a primal sense of danger clawing at the surface. "They're close!" I exclaimed, adrenaline gripping me in its merciless embrace. "This way!" June urged, the urgency in her voice propelling us all forward as we darted down a side alley, shadows engulfing us as we fled, fear and uncertainty propelling our steps. But even as we ran, questions chased me, wrapping around my heart. Could Nathan be trusted? Was he really here for me, or was I walking straight into Thorn's web? The choices ahead felt infinite and paralyzing. And then, as I turned a corner, my breath caught in my throat. There, amidst the chaos, a flicker of light caught my eye, an old, familiar pendant glimmering beneath the shadows of a dumpster. My mother's pendant. "Stop!" I gasped, my heart racing. But before I could finish, figures rushed past us, racing toward the pendant as though it held the key to their very existence. I could only watch in disbelief as the connection to my past slipped from my grasp once more, all the while feeling Nathan's eyes boring into me, the weight of his expectations resting heavy on my chest. "Lila, we have to go." Jack tugged on my arm, dragging me back into the sheltering darkness, but I stood frozen, caught between fleeing and the peace of my mother I had almost reclaimed, knowing deep down that whichever path I chose would change everything. The conflict pulsated in my chest, a race against time, against my own hopes and fears, and with that, we vanished into the shadows, unseen, yet forever marked by the imprints of unexpected betrayals and the flickering promise of truth. The alley twisted behind us as we sprinted into the unknown, the sirens of our pursuit fading into the echoes of uncertainty that clouded my mind. With each footfall, the weight of the past intertwined with the dread of the present, each shadow a reminder of the dangers lurking just out of sight. John's words echoed in my mind, warning me of a legacy so profound that it could consume not just my life, but all those I held dear. Jack's hand gripped mine, anchoring me against the storm of confusion raging inside my heart. As we turned another corner, the world shifted, the chaos apparently endless yet slipping like water through my fingers. I could feel the urgency pulsing in the air, every heartbeat a reminder that we were living in a moment sprawled onto a precipice, hanging in the balance between truth and betrayal. "We need to find a safe house," June murmured, glancing over her shoulder, as though ghosts were nipping at her heels. "Far away from Thorn's sight." Her tone was laden with familiarity, yet I could see the cracked spiderwebbing in her demeanor, the weight of knowledge pressing painfully on her shoulders. "Where?" I challenged, my voice trembling. I didn't want to run. Not anymore. The shadows around us felt heavy, pulling me back toward the memories of my past, whispering secrets of my mother that I still couldn't grasp. "Not like this. Can we at least stop for a moment? I need to talk to my father. I need answers." "Not now," Jack insisted tightly, the urgency deepening the lines on his forehead. "Every second we delay puts you more at risk. Thorn won't hesitate to strike." Before I could respond, the distant echo of boots thumped against the pavement, punctuating my heartbeat and sending a fresh swell of panic racing through me. Every instinct screamed for action, gripped tightly by fear for the people I loved. But it was not only them anymore. This was a fight for my own identity, a chance to reclaim everything I had lost, including the very essence of who I was. Lila. Nathan suddenly surged forward, his silhouette breaking free from the darkness that cloaked him. The desperation in his voice sent both excitement and apprehension spiraling within me. You have to trust me. Trust? Jack shot back, anger flashing in his eyes. You expect her to trust you after everything that happened? The last time we were together, you ran, leaving her behind. The stakes are different now. Nathan countered fiercely, backing Jack down without a second thought. Her life is in danger, and if she wants answers, she must stand with us. Him? Jack's voice cracked, eyes shimmering with the desperate emotion of betrayal that rendered him vulnerable. He's with Thorn. You can't possibly think forming an alliance with him is the right choice. My senses blared in fervent alarm. They were both right in their own ways. Jack's anger was tied to an intensity of protection that made my heart swell, yet Nathan's arguments coaxed forth the flickering flame of hope that made my spirit long for answers. Enough! I finally shouted, the sound of my own voice cracking through the growing tension. I won't let you turn this decision into another fight. I have to make it for myself. Both men fell silent, eyes lingering on me as if weighing the gravity of my choice lodged in the air between us. What do you propose, Lila? June encouraged, her expression shifting to one of genuine curiosity layered with trepidation. I want to hear everything, I breathed, a wave of calm washing over me. Every secret. Every betrayal. But I won't choose until I understand what's really out there, specifically who we're fighting against and what it means for all of us. Just then, footsteps thundered ever closer, an insistent reminder that time was slipping away, twisting like smoke through the cracks of our fractured world, that we can't be caught here. Jack warned, glancing toward the alley entrance, fear clawing on his features. Are you really willing to stand here and trust him? You have to decide right now, Lila. My heart raced between the pull of the past and present, but I knew I couldn't let fear dictate my choices any longer. Standing at the nexus of so many tangled threads, I stole my gaze from Jack's stormy eyes, locking them onto Nathan as clarity settled upon my heart. I want to hear about my mother, Nathan. I want to know what she did and what that meant for me, I implored, ardor fueling my resolve. But I need you to understand, I'm not the girl you left behind. I am my own fight now. Tension electrified the air, and for a moment, I thought I saw a flicker of pride beneath the glimmer of Nathan's desperation. I know, Lila. And I promise together, you'll be stronger than you ever imagined. At that moment, a bright light emerged from the alley entrance, cutting through the shadows with the force of a spotlight. Nathan and Jack's features schooled into determination as they both instinctively shielded me from the direction of the light. My pulse raced as we were caught in the wicked crossfire of growing tension and inevitable confrontation lurking just beyond our grasp. The door at the entrance of the alley swung wide, revealing a figure silhouetted against the light, adorned in a dark coat that billowed like a shroud. So, the little songbird finally brings her minstrels back, Thorn's voice echoed through the darkness, a sinister melody curling around the edges of his words. The world slipped away beneath my feet as my breath hitched, trapped in the grip of raw realization. Each tangled thread of my past dragged me closer to the very reckoning I'd been pushing against, and I felt a powerful surge ripple through me, a crescendo that drowned out the growing tremors of fear clamoring for recognition. It's time, I whispered, reminding myself for the 1000th time. It's time to reclaim my voice. In that moment, every fragment of my past, every heartbeat that had once crumbled under doubt, gathered into formidable armor against the enemy that sought to silence me. My choice had been made, an emotional awakening coursing through my veins like electric fire. Together, I declared with conviction, feeling an indomitable strength surge within me. Together, we'll fight back. The shadows danced closer, still taunting with the unknown, but as we readied ourselves for the fight ahead, I stood resolutely ready to embrace the truth that would illuminate the darkness around us. And at last, the song within me began to rise. And when thorns stepped into our midst, I knew the battle was only beginning. But this time, I wouldn't back down. I wouldn't shy away. Not from him. Not from the truth. Not from the voice that would empower us all, and I would sing.